Welcome to Lonnie's Show, live daily at noon Eastern after 1,000 followers, focused on wellness in a chaotic world through discipline, clarity, and calm thinking. Topics build, and in the second half, it all clicks. I invite you into the discipline of 3 arts: body, mind, story. Do this. I told, train the body, focus the mind, shape the story. Lonnie Show is about wellness through the discipline of 3 arts: mind, body, story. Greetings, everyone. I have my special notebook, my golden pen, and it is January 5th. This is the 5th walk with Lonnie. First things first, respect. Let's start today with just showing you how to coordinate your hands for attack and defense. So let's talk about the attack part first. I taught you the attack part yesterday, which is punch, right? I taught you kick first, then punch, strike, and strike. I didn't teach you how to defend first because the best defense is a good offense. It doesn't matter how many punches you block, you're not gonna stop your attacker until you stop them. So, talking a little bit about, I don't wanna call it blocking, I wanna call it intercepting hands. Because let's say this is a movement, this is a movement, this is a movement. It's not a block. I'm not trying to just stop the limb at a certain point. What I'm trying to do is, as the limb comes in, hand, arm, or leg, I want to meet it. And when I meet it, I want to feel, is it pushing or is it pulling? Typically, if it's pulling, then I'm going to take and break the arm. If it's, did I say that right? Typically, if it's pushing, I'm going to take and break the arm. If it's pulling, then I'm going to strike. So let's just look at how to coordinate your hands for attack and defense. Remember, crane punch, there are many punches, yes, but we're gonna deal with one at a time. This is a crane punch, and this is an example of a block. We're not gonna worry about what all of these are, not a block, and interception. But I'm just gonna say block so we can use common language. Do this. And I'm gonna turn to the side so you can get this angle. As the punch comes in, I'm putting an arm up to meet it. I might meet it here. I might meet it here. But wherever I meet it, I'm not trying to stop it. I'm trying to feel. If I meet it and it's stronger than me, and if it's still pushing, then I'm going to give. I'm going to take and then break. That's the theory. If he's stronger than me pulling, when I block, if he's gonna grab my arm, and then pull, then I'm simply gonna go with his energy and strike. I'm not gonna resist. Even if he's not stronger than me, if he pushes down on my arm, I'm gonna turn what's called a high elbow. This is just for conversation. Right now, this is all I want you to do. You're gonna do this, and you're gonna do this, and you're gonna do this, and you're going to do this with the hand here and with the hand here. So one hand is only gonna strike, and the other hand is gonna defend. Defend, 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 defend and strike, 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 defend and strike. Once you get comfortable doing these motions with punching with one hand and just one hand's doing the block, then switch and make your right hand do all of the punching and your left hand do all of the blocking. See, I'm guiding out with that one. Something's coming, I'm just guiding it out. I'm not trying to stop it, I'm trying to guide it out. And then I want to strike straight into the line that I open up with my guidance. I want to strike straight into the line that I open with my guidance. Straight into the line that I open with my guidance. Straight into the line that I open with my guidance. Straight into the line that I open with my guidance. Straight into the line that I open with my guidance. You're gonna stand with your feet. This is the traditional way. I don't know if you can see my feet, but I have my toes pointed in. You can see my knees are pointed in. This is called a female stance. It's also called an hourglass stance. This is a way of stepping and, this is a way of stepping and transitioning, not a way of just standing like, say, come on, let's fight. This is a stance that allows you to move special ways. So you train this way and you train this way. So whichever one you like to do first is fine. This is a high horse stance. I don't have to be low to do my horse stance or lower to do my horse stance. This is enough. All right, because this enables you to shift your hips, position your knees, and generate power. And these are just basics. And you shouldn't get tired, and you shouldn't hold your breath. You want to lock, 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 lock. And sometimes when you clear space to open an avenue, it opens an avenue for this fist, and the avenue stays open. And you can just keep rolling those punches. Chain punches, it's called also. Then, once you have all your punches and blocks down with one hand, then you have all of them down with the other hand. Then what you're going to want to do is alternate hands. Every strike, start with just one movement. I'll change my stance a little bit so you can see just one movement. Once you have one movement down, add another one. And alternate. Do those two, then do these two. These two, and then these two. Once you have those down, go to the next. And again, right now, I'm not worried about you learning what all of these techniques are called. Doesn't matter, who cares? You're just trying to coordinate your body. You can learn the academics of this later. The academics of this don't matter if you don't practice this stuff. Your shoulders, your forearms, your fist have to get prepared and strong from just doing this. We haven't talked about a lot about martial arts, but one step at a time. Coordinate your body, all right? Peace, respect. Chairman Mao, here's my neighborhood friend. I don't know where his home is, but he comes to eat at my house. You gained some weight there, my friend. Yesterday when I was telling you about me being a thief, I wasn't glamorizing being a thief. In the third walk, I told you I'd be telling you about my sickness. In the fourth walk, I identified what that sickness is. We're talking about thievery. It's not thievery. It's not just something, I don't label it as something I'm afflicted with. From my point of view, it's the best of what I knew. In my neighborhood, in my neighborhoods, with the exception of living with my father in Albuquerque and my time in Texas with my grandfather. Here in Cleveland, in the neighborhoods, it seems like, you know, from my point of view, we're talking about from a writer. I want you to think of the stories I tell you as point of view, and don't just think of my point of view. Think of other people's point of view. I could be narrow-sighted, leave something out, miss something. I don't mean to. I want to be totally honest with you. That's one thing about me. I was a thief, but I wasn't much of a liar. I didn't lie to women. I didn't lie to my friends. I didn't do my friends wrong. If you knew me, it doesn't matter how long you knew me. If I knew your name, you knew me, I wouldn't steal anything from you ever. After I was 7 years old, I stole 2 American quarters and a Canadian quarter from my cousin Tony's bank. And Uncle John, his father, by marriage, made me pull down my pants, let me leave the long johns on, and he gave me a good spanking with the belt. That cured my stealing. I didn't steal anymore for about a year. Then one day, one night, I was in a bar. Yeah, I was 8 years old in a bar. And this goes into where I cut off just a second ago. In my neighborhood, there weren't many role models. I didn't have a doctor, a lawyer, a fireman next door. I had pimps, prostitutes, drug addicts, drug dealers, the pedophile security guard, and there was one regular worker in the building. He was a construction worker. He worked construction labor. He was another pedophile. So I didn't want to be like them. The one that came around that impressed me was a thief named Alex. He was always dressed well, groomed well. He had a beautiful woman who loved him. And Alex, unlike the pimps and the drug dealers, was never looking over his shoulder. He was never worried about somebody coming to get him. Alex stole by deception. He didn't arm rob people. He tricked them. There was somehow of my choices of what I could be, what I knew that a person could be, Alex was the best of it. So then when I was 8 years old, after my uncle had whooped me a year ago, I'm in a bar with somebody I trusted and her friend. And her friend was a prostitute who had worked this drunk man at a bar, at a bar booth for long enough for him to pass out on his face on the table. And yeah, the person who came to me was my mother. And she said, "Lon, I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but rent's 2 weeks past due and we're probably gonna get kicked out. Now you see that man over there in that bar corner? Well, Beverly's been trying to get his wallet out of his pocket, but her fingers are too fat and my thumbs are too short. I tried, but I can't do it. Now, I know this is wrong, but if you can do it, we'll give you $50. 50 bucks. 50 bucks. And my mom asked me to do it. I didn't have any filter of right and wrong when it's my mother who's asking me to do something. So, instead of worrying about right and wrong or thinking about it, remembering my whooping from Uncle John, I walked over and took a look around. Nobody was paying attention to the man. Nobody was paying attention to me. Walked over closer, looked over the booth, and I could see that his wallet was lifted a little bit. Not halfway though. You got to get it halfway, then it slips right out. So, I sold the wallet. My mom gave me 50 bucks. And that was that. I was a pickpocket. I had learned how to pick pockets. That made me get into, channel that energy into being a magician, doing sleight of hand. And I'd watch people like Doug Henning and David Copperfield, but David Copperfield was an illusionist. Doug Henning was a magician. He could do things right in your face with no sleeves, and it'd be amazing. And I was very impressed. So I took my 50 bucks and I bought some magic tricks, and I practiced my magic tricks, and I impressed my mom's friends and pissed mine off. And then I was just out walking, and there was Beverly, and she had the same thing in mind. Hey, little Lonnie, can you pick this pocket? And she had a mark set up. So I picked the pocket. The first wallet had $300 and something in there. I had watched them count it. The second one, I don't really remember. There was more than a couple $100, and Beverly gave me 50. After that, I found my own mark. I knew a man had his paycheck in his pants. I had watched him. He was a regular in the building. He'd come on Fridays. He'd dress up real nice. He'd have on a suit and tie. And he'd come get him a woman. And then he'd get drunk. Or he'd be drunk already, whatever. But he would end up at night either in a park bench across the street from where I stayed, or he would end up at a graveyard sleeping on a grave. He worked as a dishwasher, and he took showers and groomed himself where he worked. And he spent all his money on booze and hookers. So at 8 years old, I had to moralize the situation. I didn't want to feel bad about myself, that I'm just taking something from somebody. So I told myself, that man's money is better in my pocket than his. He's wasting his money on hookers and alcohol, and I could buy toys that would last. You know, point of view. In hindsight, looking at point of view from different angles, Beverly had a child. She was trying to feed. She was going about it the wrong way. You're a hooker, do your hooker thing. You don't have to steal. But the money I took from him would have went to other prostitutes that were similar to Beverly, because they had children too, and they were feeding their children, and I took that money from them. But yeah, at 8 years old, I learned that there's a number of what appears to be homeless people. I guess, you know, they really are homeless, but they have jobs and pockets of money, and they're sleeping in bushes. And, you know, things that I just thought was totally ridiculous. And so I stole from them. I'd find them in a graveyard, sleeping on tombs. Not just one, be several men sleeping on graves. I'm not trying to just tell you stories or make excuses for my actions, moralize them in any kind of way. What I'm doing is giving you point of view. We're talking about writing stories, and we're talking about that for the purpose of getting at your story. Point of view is not always clear. It's rarely the entire truth. So sometimes it's hard to trust, but it is that point of view, and it's from that person's eyes that you as a writer give us, that we comprehend the story. Some things, this is a side note, but some things we don't get. Some things aren't told or even shown, but we can infer them. That's something to think about in your story. You don't want to tell everybody everything like a narrator. You don't want to tell them, like, 10 years ago, this man, when you're writing your story as a beginning writer, and this is still how I write because it's the best way to tell a story to me, tell it from beginning to end. Quentin Tarantino's brilliant, yeah, and he starts a movie at the middle, And then the middle's the beginning, or the middle's the end, and the end's the beginning. And it works. But Quentin Tarantino mastered the art of classic storytelling before he broke the rules. This is the same thing that you can do in Kung Fu once you learn the rules. The beauty of Kung Fu is expressing it as an individual. And the roofers. Roof! Roof! I don't want any work on my roof. No roofers. It is 39 degrees out here. The snow's melting. It's like a heat wave. The wind yesterday cut my lip. It split my lip. Had me uncomfortable all night. I didn't know if I was going to be coming out again today. No, I'm coming out every day. That's my goal. Rain, sleet, or snow, I'm going to be out here walking and talking because it's good for me physically, and I need to transfer this information to people who need it, people who want to become writers, people who want wellness. And you know, if you feel well and you don't need to get the wellness lessons, you just want to learn how to write, that's cool too. That's cool too. Be here for that. But I'm focused on trying to make people feel better and know that they're not in a bad situation that they can't get out of, no matter what. And some of that begins with imagination. All actions begin with a thought. The sooner we imagine what we want, the sooner we'll get to it with just a little daily effort, like walking. Train the body, focus the mind, shape the story. Train the body, focus the mind, shape the story. I'm live daily at noon Eastern after 1,000 followers.